And then the gay thing, like I find it to be wild that I'm more comfortable with that minority piece um, versus anything else. Like, I'm more okay showing up as gay than I'm more okay showing up as gay than I am showing up as black, specifically in like my predominantly white workspace. Like, make no mistake, like, it's very specific. It's not in general. It's very specific. Um, I'm more okay with showing up as gay and black in a predominantly white workspace than I am showing up as a childless, relationshipless, single person. Because again, the value that is placed on certain things in society is very real. It may not be right, it may not be fair, it may not be like, we might need to start trying to dismantle that, but
I'm Erica, also known as E.MoniQue, and this is my real life. Hang out with me as I side-eye the ups and stumble through the downs. Watch as I turn my tiny piece of the Arizona desert into a tropical oasis. Fight to beat infertility and figure out where I fit as an artist in this crazy creative world. All while awkwardly discovering my authentic self. I'll be talking out loud about the things I wish someone would have said a while ago and sorting through what I wish I didn't know. Who knows? Maybe you can relate, as I often ask myself.
Hello.
hey. Hi.
What's happening? Hey. What's been going on? Liking meaning is going up according to the algorithm and how you answered. It's showing that it's up.
Like, I don't know, I thought that like maybe my anxiety was kind of like building up for the past few weeks, even before it was just kind of hard for me to maybe verbalize what was kind of brewing or what I was feeling, but it's just been like, I don't know, like the worrying about everything kicked up, the like irritability with myself kicked up, like every little thing that didn't go, or just like if something happened, it would just kind of like I would dwell on that the whole day, or just thinking, like I've been having a lot of doubts about stuff, a lot of doubts about myself, whether I'm like just questioning my capabilities. It's just, I think last week was really, really difficult for me, and it just kind of came to a point, and I'm like, okay, just get through it. I don't know, I feel like I've kind of stalled in some other areas, because where I feel like things are getting a little bit tense or difficult for me to deal with mentally or emotionally, I just kind of stop everything, and I don't know, I freeze. But I don't know, yesterday was an emotional day for me, high and low. I finally found I didn't know this was possible, but I have been on a mission to find a new primary care doctor. That way I can get the referrals and explore like what this whole pre-diabetes thing is. So I finally had an appointment yesterday with a nurse practitioner, and she was amazing. The crew was amazing. The whole crew there were like women of color, and they actually took the time to sit and listen to me and talk to me and ask me questions. And so I felt good about that appointment, and had some labs done to just kind of redo and see where I am compared to the last results, and felt really reaffirmed or reassured in ways and some things, and she scared the shit out of me in other ways. And so I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do? So I've definitely had some wins and some some difficult areas, but yeah, I think right now I have too much time on my hands, and I'm thinking about what could go wrong and like with what I want to do, and I've been feeling like I don't want to go on this trip because it's taking up so much of my time and my money, and like I no longer am excited about going on vacation, which is strange because I know I need a vacation and I want to go on vacation, but it's suddenly taken up so much space in my life where I would rather be doing and spending my resources on other things. And I think I'm disappointed that I might not be able to start this year because of such huge a trip and just the timing of things. So that's got me upset. And then circling back to, there's really nothing you can do about this because it's genetics and it's on both sides of your family, and you look healthy, you seem healthy, everything else is fine, you just can't avoid this. And that's like, no, I'm not gonna just like lay down and accept it. I don't accept a lot of things, obviously. But to hear someone else say, well, that's just kind of how your cookies are crumbling, it's just like, are you sure there's nothing else? I mean, aside from the really pay attention to your diet, and it's just like, I do probably too much. And then, you know, the exercise, and I'm like, okay, I'm hearing it from another medical professional that's saying this is what you need to do that will really help move the needle backwards. And I'm like, okay, I accept that, and I will work or put more focus into like getting my mind together for exercising. I don't know why I'm so anti, but I've been willing to do everything else for the sake of something. So like, this is something that I really need to get my head together on, especially if it is probably the literal last thing that I haven't done that could really benefit me. Just do it. So I'm working on that, but I'm to the point, I haven't gotten the other results back yet, but I'm to the point where it's like, if I go up 2 points on my glucose or my A1C, I'm type 2, just 2 points. If I go up 1 point, she's like, at that 1 point, you're at the top of the mountain and any little thing could push you over, and now we're there. And I'm like, that's so terrifying to me. And they probably thought it was a little bit comical, like my reaction, but I'm so terrified of that. Like, and that's why I was like so adamant about figuring this out, because I don't want to be on the cusp of having this other major problem, especially if it's avoidable despite me having the genetics for it. Like, it's just too close. It's just too close. So they're working on some things for me, and then they're gonna get back, but at least for my anemia, I'm still anemic, but I have increased, so I'm super proud of myself. I've never been this high up from like doing it on my own. So I'm like, okay, we're headed in the right direction. But I am gonna end up starting the infusion treatments again, just to get me to the top real quick, and that way I can start to maintain that. That's easier for me to do. So like health wise, I'm like today I feel good about kind of where I am, but also there's this other half where it's just like, okay, how am I going to do this? I was able to get set up with a dietitian, so maybe they can help me, just because the last thing I want to do is go so extreme in one area to fix one thing that now I'm taking away from another area and I'm having this juggling act. So I don't know, we'll see what they say, well, like how they can possibly assist me. I would really love to know what I can eat, because I am hungry. I am. So yeah, that health wise, and I don't know, I just, like I said, I feel like there's been too much time without me having any major projects or things to focus on, and I'm like upset about not being on an IVF cycle. I'm upset about not moving towards the next steps, and then like I'm going back and forth on like what I'm going to do about this donor, and then if I'm looking at other donors, I'm now thinking about like attributes that weren't an issue before. So now it's like, okay, out of like the 5 black men that are available, now it becomes a personality, like whatever little blurb personality, and like what they look like, and kind of like heavy on the what they look like. And it's just like, what is that? Does that make me superficial for caring about what this person looks like, and how, like, what my kid could look like, how tall? Like, I can't have somebody too short, because if I have a son, I want him to have a little height, and just it's that makes me feel kind of icky. I didn't go through all of that the first round, so I'm discovering about myself in that area. Like, I'm kind of like tapping on like colorism, and like how do I actually feel about having a mixed child, and like what country kind of mix, and that's been interesting. Yeah, no enthusiasm about the trip, and it's, you know, the closer we get to it, the more they want to talk about it, and I'm just like, yeah, how can I get out and not hurt anybody's feelings? Like, but at the time, it was like I jumped into it because I felt like at the time I needed to go away. I needed to just disappear. I needed something. But the problem with that was, obviously I wasn't whisked away at the time that I needed that. It's like at the end of a whole year, and now it's like, and honestly, I didn't expect to feel or be where I am right now. I didn't know how long it was going to take for me to come through January. I didn't know how I was going to feel about starting again, or when, and I feel like I was pretty much ready by May, end of April, beginning of May, but yeah. Yeah. Doubts about still if my body is strong enough, like how I'm going to do it if I can barely take care of myself. How am I going to take care of a kid? Where are we going to live? What are we going to eat? Just down so many rabbit holes of like, how is this going to work? And I'm like overwhelming myself. I can feel myself being overwhelmed, but at the same time, it's like these are things that I should be able to think about without feeling fear. Right now, every rabbit hole that I'm digging is fear, and I'm like, okay, well, let me find out, like, let me do more research about the thing, and it's just like, okay, I have more education about it or more knowledge about it, but I don't feel any safer or like any comfort from having that additional information. It's just like, okay, well, still, how are we going to get from point A to point B? And then going back to my appointment from yesterday, like, I'm finding it harder and harder to, and I don't know why, to verbalize again, like my story or my journey or what have you. So of course, medical history and the questions that they ask you led to, okay, this is why X, Y, and Z. And so the girl that I was speaking with, she was just like, oh, okay, all of that makes sense. Because it was like, okay, when was your last cycle? Like, do you drink? Have you ever been pregnant? And well, how many living children? How many times? And like all of that. So finally telling her, and I think majority of the questions were for medical purposes, and then she threw in a few just because she was curious. And I'm always open to like talk to people, but every single time that I like start to say what it is, that initial like look and that reaction sucks. And then they're like, wow, that's amazing, or wow, she's like, oh, your story is so inspiring, thank you for sharing. And I'm like, you're welcome. But in my heart, it's like I didn't, like, I'm not doing this, like, I'm sharing because I have to, kinda. And like I'm still like, I'm not proud of it, I don't like it. And then every time I say it out loud, it feels so, it's crazy. It doesn't feel good to say it out loud that this is what you've done and this is what you're probably going to continue to do. Yeah, I don't know. I've stopped sharing in the groups because I just don't want to go down that hole. I kind of feel like a freak more and more every day. And then today, one of my clients came in, or a couple, and they are ecstatic about having their first grandbaby who's only 2 months old. And I love stories like that. I like when people share. That's not an issue. But I don't think I've been asked in a very, very long time if I have kids. So she asked me, and I guess that's fine. And I'm like, no kids, not yet. And there's this like pause, because like when someone says no kids, usually what comes after is, oh, I haven't found the right person yet, or oh, whatever. And that's more acceptable than, well, I've been battling with a little infertility, just a little infertility. And then that like, oh, okay, you know. But, you know, she probably wasn't expecting that and asked, okay, well, how many would you want? And I was like, honestly, if I could just be blessed with one, I just want one little grape, just one, I'm good, you know. It's just moments like that where I'm just kind of like hit from left field, and like, and I say to people all the time, ask me questions. Overall, I'm fine. I can talk about it. But at the same time, like, it makes me feel not good to talk about it. Now, it wasn't always necessarily like that. Like a couple months ago, a few months ago, it would have been like, oh, it's fine. Now, it's just getting harder to keep telling the same story. Yeah. I don't know. Overall, I don't really know what's going on with me. I haven't been sleeping well. Something, but I'm not settled. My mind is going. Alone. I look outside, I'm like, oh, that would be nice to do, but also like, I'd rather be in here where it's cool, it's hot as fuck outside, and I don't want to spend any money, and I don't want to go anywhere, and you know, too much of that can like make me feel worse. So it's like, okay, I've had several weekends now where I'm just inside. I'm not feeling any better, but also it feels so comfortable to just be here. Not feeling very motivated at work, which is easy to do in the summertime. It gets quiet, it gets slow, and it's just like, okay, phone hasn't rang for 3 hours, can I go home? You know, and I don't necessarily like to be in that mindset because I like to remain productive at work. But if you give me the opportunity, I'm out. And when I'm out, I'm here. So, yeah. Haven't been feeling my best. Hoping to see some light in a little while. I can feel myself getting there. But like I said, I could feel for like the past few weeks where it was kind of building up. Yeah. I think that like here, at least recently, I'm learning more and more about how powerful genetics can be. And aside from like the other illnesses that are prevalent in my family or what I've been dealing with, like I haven't really, like I've kind of tiptoed around the idea that, because I don't want it to be true, that genetics piece could also be the reason why I'm in this infertility situation also. And it's just like I'm starting to kind of hate genetics as much as I hate hormones. Because it's just like some people can do it, some people can't. And like that part right there is, as someone who feels that they can control a lot of what happens, that part is hard for me. Because other things, if that ball drops, then it drops, but there are still things that you can do to maintain. There is nothing that you can do to maintain. Well, there are other things, I guess, but it's I don't know. I don't think I'm being too kind to myself right now, because I'm more concerned about like the optics and how other people react and how they might feel. And so I literally was just playing out this scenario in my head with my client earlier. If she had some sort of reaction that was just like, oh, I'm so sorry, my go-to would have been like, oh, you know what, that's just kind of like how life is, and I've been dealt these cards and I'm still playing the game. That would have been my response to her to make her feel comfortable. But for me, it's like, fuck that, I don't want these cards, please trade me out something. Like I don't want to do this anymore, it's not fair, I don't want to play this game. But like I'm not saying that out loud, that I'm not okay with how the game is being played. None of it. None of it. I
know that's a very broad question. How you handle race-based stuff when you described your reaction to that. The same as
or I'd rather just like swallow it whole and try to like stomp it out and hope it goes away.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's still not making me feel well. Like there's nobody else has to deal with it. I'm still sitting on it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because they're all, well, not all of it, but it's all problematic. It's all uncomfortable. It's all taboo. It's all, and I don't think I want to be like I've never wanted to be the like walking poster child for all of the things, all of the difficult things. And I don't like to dwell on like, I mean, so far, I am a black female, gay, that can't have kids. It's just like, well, shit, what can you do? What kind of American are you,
Yeah.
I don't own a house. It's just like, ugh. Those are like, I'm all of like my insecurities just like walking, and it's just like, I want to be a better everything. I want to just, I don't know, maybe it's kind of stemmed from like when I was younger, I was an outstanding, like unique child. I was this black. I don't know why I'm so anti everything that, I don't know, I kind of have always been this way, but I'm like, anything that I'm good at or decent at, or anything that everybody else thinks that I should, and I know everybody else thinks could give a fuck, right? But anything that everybody else thinks that I should be doing or thinks that I'm good at or whatever, I'm so anti. So anti. I don't want to be a financial advisor. I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to be someone like this pillar. Well, I won't say that, but it's becoming very hard for me to be an example of hope in the infertility space. Right now, maybe it's just a season, maybe it's, I don't know what it is, but I don't know why I'm so anti, making impact in certain spaces as it pertains to Black people, as it pertains to gay people, as it pertains to I really am struggling with all of the minorities that is in me. I want to be known for and celebrated for what I want to be known and celebrated for. Which is what? Having a child. That feels so like I'm even anti that, because I don't know. It is also still very taboo to say that, like subconsciously say that your life's goal or life's dream is to rear a child. Is that anti-feminist? I focus so much on what I don't want to be that I'm so conflicted within myself. Like, I have policed myself so much because I don't want to be this. I don't want to look like that. I don't want to be thought of that. I just don't want to be the bad guy. I don't want to be problematic. I don't want to raise a stink. That image part, I guess I could give a fuck about like what society, how it views me. But like I've said this before, there are several levels of value to a person, whether we want that to be true or not. There are several levels of value to a person. And it starts with how they look, and then
and then it's their like capabilities in life, and then it's their character and personality, and then it's, you know, societal things on, you know, like whether you have that old American dream, which is like a house, a wife, or like a spouse and a child and a, you know, like my own dream is to have some sort of creative property with my one kid and like my dog and my garden and my books and my wine and my art and all. Like that is my dream, a very eclectic version of the American dream, but I still want that nonetheless. And it's like, if you have one of those, maybe you can get by socially and you'll have like something to talk about with other people. 2, 3 of those things, even better. But like when you don't have any of those things, that's like further isolating socially. It's like, what do you talk to coworkers about? What do you talk to your friends about, like who have, you know, 1 or 2 or half of those things? It's, yeah, I've felt like a freak. That's kind of like my circumstances have not changed. I have been here for a while, at least 3 years, but recently I have felt more and more like a freak every single day, and I don't know why, but it does make me want to like hide out. It is comfortable and safe to just like sit here, but like I know that this is not good for me either. It feels good, but it's not good. It's not healthy. I don't know. I need to try to have the perspective that she is bringing up, that like instead of looking at this time like a void, like the time that I've been just kind of like ruminating and thinking and preparing and digging little rabbit holes, instead of viewing that as like this wasted space, wasted time, wasted everything, look at it as it is preparation. Like I am trying hard. I'm working on my health, my physical health. I'm still working on my emotional health, even though I feel really, really tired. That I kind of feel like I'm backfiring sometimes. But everything that I'm doing in the meantime, whether it seems magnanimous or not, because usually when I'm doing something, I'm doing like 3 things at the same time, and right now I'm not. I'm focused on just this. But it is going to get me closer to the ultimate goal. Focus on this being preparation time. Because I said what I said. I want multiple eggs. I want multiple embryos so that I have multiple chances, so that this next round is my last round. That's what I want. That's what I want. Yeah. I didn't bring up the other things. The other things would have made me cry. I don't know why I'm so emotional yesterday and today, but I am. I didn't bring up the other things because one of the things was for me to know and for me to utilize going forward. And now I know what's important to me, and I can just use that as the standard. The other thing is, it's just so complicated for me, probably not for therapy, probably not for everybody else, but, and this is the same thing that I've been crying about and talking about, not just for the past 2 years that I've been single, or 3, however fucking long, but kind of like for the past like 2 years farther than that. Like I feel like I kind of started therapy because of this relationship, of this last relationship, and I have been crying about this relationship and this person for a long time. At least, well, I think it's only been 4 years because it started in 2020. Yeah, so I didn't bring that up because honestly, like, I'm embarrassed at this point to still be talking about something that's probably not healthy for me, not the best for me, not with my best intentions. Something that I probably don't have, like, I don't have the energy for, or the space for at this point. Like, anyways, that has been on my mind for the past at least week or two, and I'm already bothered by the fact that it has taken space in my mind for 2 weeks or longer. And I just can't afford to waste any more, or not waste, but like spend any more on that. I know I'm not making sense because I'm being very vague, because I think I'm disappointed in myself for like not doing what, I don't know. What I do know is that if I keep turning back, looking back, kind of like waiting for someone to catch up, it will take me longer to get to my goal. And I really want to be able to focus on the finish line. And then once they eventually reach the finish line, if they do, then we can discuss that. But like, I kind of feel like I can no longer, or like, not that I can no longer, I just don't want to keep looking back, stopping, looking back to see if they're getting any closer. And like all of like the guilt and the emotional like back and forth that I feel is too much. Like I can't be doing this. When I have other things to focus on. And I feel like let them tell it, they would say the same thing and like totally like brush it off and be like, this wasn't that, this blah blah blah, like I'm doing my thing. This, I just... Bird. There's a big fat ass pigeon. He looks a little disheveled. So I'm gonna let him cook, but there's a big pigeon on my balcony. He does not look well at all. I hope this is not his last stop, is what I'm trying to get at. I don't want to deal with that. There's no food up here. There's no seeds. There's no bugs. Just dirt, rocks, and burn up plants. Your feet gotta be hot. Why do your feathers look like that? Bye. I'm hungry, so I'm gonna have a burrito. Oh, maybe I should let's chat about my appointment. I don't know if you heard or not, but so it's been since April. It's July. And all the doctors are fucking booked. They're booked for the rest of the year. Like, and I was telling you, like, the first doctor I tried to get with was giving me back and forth and then finally said, oh, we don't accept the insurance. Okay, but I got you off my insurance site. Oh, they didn't update it. Okay, moving on. Then I called for somebody else who would not answer the freaking phone. They just would not answer the phone. So I was like, fuck that. Then I chose a third person. And they were like, oh, she's no longer with this medical group. And I'm like, the fuck? Oh, yeah, they didn't update their system. And I'm like, just anybody at this point. Anybody. So she found me a doctor, but wouldn't be able to get me in until September. And I'm like, September? Tomorrow's not promised to me. Like, what? Anybody else? Like, I'm willing to drive. Trust me, I'm willing to drive. So then she's just like, well, we can get you in next week with a nurse practitioner. And I'm like, at this point, book it. Like, I just need to see somebody. So that appointment was yesterday, and turns out that this nurse practitioner was or is a Black woman. Her student was a young Black woman. Her assistant, I don't know what they're called. I think she's a nurse too, a different level nurse, was a young Hispanic woman. And they were nice. I know nice don't mean shit, but they were nice. They were kind. They were not rude. They took their time. They asked questions. They answered my questions. They listened to me. I had a very, very pleasant experience at my appointment. Pleasant because we had a conversation about fucking science, not about emotions, not about me being a hypochondriac, not about me, like, it wasn't like a gaslit ass appointment at all. It was, let's go back and forth about this, and this. And some of the information was like, cool, I can work with that. Let's roll. And the other information was just like, fuck, what am I going to do? And then she'd be like, this is what we're going to do. You're going to be all right. This is what you got to do. You know, just really like team playing shit. This is what I've been wanting for a while. A team to join my team so that we could just figure some shit out. And not just roll over and accept it and like not talk about it. And then the shit gets worse and now I'm back here and you're not fucking helping me. Zuzu. Anyways, the appointment was good. Am I still terrified about this pre-diabetes thing? Yes. I'm not sure that I'm accepting you can't do anything about it because it's in your genetics and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not 100% accepting that. Like, I'm understanding more and more about like the power of genetics. And here's what I feel. I feel like genetics are the sister bitch to hormones, because you know how much I love hormones. But because it's genetics, I think that it could actually be the mother bitch to hormones. It's kind of everything, right? But they can kick rocks, genetics, because that is just like, at least with hormones, you can try to figure it out and balance them out and throw some pills at it and do this and do that to kind of genetics. There's not much you can do, which this is what I've been saying. This is what me and Jackie have been talking about. Epigenetics, there is some control over that, and it's just like how you set your body up for success to deal with said genetics. Like, okay, your family doesn't do well with blood sugar, okay? So here's what you're going to do. Like, here's your defense for when you're up against glucose spikes or whatever. Like, that's what I need, not nothing you can do, accept it, roll over, lay down. Like, no, talk to me about how I can tennis racket this shit back, because I'm not going down without a fight. So we still have some work to do in that area, but I need to get my ass in the gym. I'm going to be getting, hopefully my insurance approves it. I'm praying that they approve it. I'm going to be getting back on my infusions, which is a bag of iron intravenously. I don't know if they do because it's been so long since I've had one. I don't know if I'll do it like once a week or every 2 weeks or every month or every 6. Like, I don't know what the schedule is going to be, but she did say, like, on the anemia part, like, again, the genetics, I have really, really small red blood cells, and like, there's nothing I can do to make them larger. And so it's hard for me to hold on to iron because of my, so it's not only hard for me to like replenish the iron that I lose and like build it back up. Like, it's really, really hard to build up your iron, on your own. But I also, like, my blood cells are just having trouble binding to the iron because they're just little shits. And there's not much I can do there. So I might be one until I get to a point where I stop having periods. I will probably need infusions once a year, like going back to that. Because before it would be, I'd either have a blood transfusion or an infusion every 8 to 12 months. And then I stopped doing everything. But she's telling me that I don't need a hematologist in order to get infusions. Like, shit, sign me up then. So she's going to try and put in that request to see if I get authorized for infusions. That would be amazing, because iron infusions are like Gatorade to my body. Like, everything will be all right. Everything. Like, I'll feel better. Like, I'll have more energy. I won't be as fatigued, which I don't remember what that feels like, to not be fatigued. I mean, it's just become a daily part of my life where I'm just like tired all the time. I'm tired of being tired, like tired for no reason. But like, once my iron stores are back up, I feel better. I look better. My skin is better. My hair, like, everything is better. Like, I can perform better. And so I would love it if I could get back on my infusions to give me some more energy to help get my blood pumping for when I'm like in the gym. That's not an excuse, seriously. I really want to be able to show up as my best self if I'm like, not if, when I start working out. There's just like a prerequisite for a lot of things. And so with better blood and like a workout routine. Oh, and then I'm going to see this dietitian on Sunday. I'm really excited about to see what he has to say about the whole thing. I'm be like, look, buddy, I need a diet for pre-diabetes, for infertility, for anemia, and for, well, I honestly, at this point, either I've done a really good job at kind of like lowering my blood pressure, or which the working out will help too. Either I've done a good job at lowering my blood pressure, or I never really had mid to high blood pressure, but I've always had white coat syndrome. So because I've been keeping a close eye on it for the past several years, I really think that I just have a bad, sneaky case of white coat syndrome, which, if you're not familiar with what that is, it's like, whether you realize it or not, like every time you see a doctor or you go to a doctor's office and they put that cuff around your arm, your blood pressure is going to skyrocket because you're nervous. And I would say all the time, I'm not nervous. I'm cool. That may have been, but I also have really bad anxiety. So maybe I'm not concerned about the doctor's appointment, but maybe I'm like super focused on like having a low blood pressure, and then that just makes it, you know what I mean? Like, so that's something that I'm gonna have to be cognizant of also, is like, I don't have to be so rigid on the like low sodium. Like, I'm gonna maintain like what I've been doing for years, and like I'm not gonna overdo it, but I think majority of it is white coat, because she took my blood pressure at the beginning of the appointment yesterday and it was 152 over something, and she was like, fuck, this is like emergency. And then she's like, well, we'll just check it again at the end. And so when she did, it was like 124 over something. I was like, sorry. It's just, So yeah, I got my blood results back, half of the results back. And between April and now, my iron has increased, which I did that myself. It's just a little bit though, but still, like, I don't think I've ever seen my iron this high without having a blood transfusion or an infusion. So I'm pretty proud of myself. I did it. So between April and now, April was, my hemoglobin was at 9.6, which even then I was like, okay, I'm doing good. Usually when like people start screaming, I'm at like a 7, but I wasn't. So I was like, I'm doing fine. I was at a 9.6 in April, and then yesterday, the results were 10.8, and I'm like, progress in the right direction. So I don't know why I'm so like happy about that. Like, that makes, like, I'm still anemic. Make no mistake, I'm still anemic. Like, that's still, like, on the scale of normal, I'm still below normal. But I'm not like dangerously low to where they're calling me saying you need to get to the ER right now because you need a blood transfusion. It's not that. In fact, wait, I missed one. I've actually had 4 transfusions. I forgot the one in 2022. It was like, as soon as I moved in here and started doing tests for LIC, they called me from California, was like, bitch, you need to get to the ER. And I was like, yeah, I know, I'm going. Because I had gotten the results before they called me, and I was like, they're going to want me to go in, and I probably need to go in. So, yeah, I had a blood transfusion in 2022. So I've had 4 total in my life, and I think 2 no, I've had 3 infusions. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 infusion sessions. 3 rounds of infusions. Anyways. But yeah, I'm really proud that I'm at a 10.8. Because my goal, remember? Probably not, but my goal was to get to 11. And I'm damn near there. So that's why I'm drinking this beet juice. And I'll probably take an iron pill. I'll take an iron pill tonight. And then I'll just wait to hear back to see when I can get scheduled for an infusion. I'm just praying that they accept me, because infusions aren't always covered by insurance, and they're thousands of dollars. And so it's like, if it's not covered and they want $2,000, I'm gonna have to say no. Like, we'll just have to gradually, slowly build up naturally, because I can't afford to spend thousands of dollars towards not the baby. Every time I turn around, somebody wants $2,000, and it's like, fuck you. No. No. But at the same time, it is my health, and good blood will help the baby, but I'm not spending $2,000 on a bag of. I'll spend $2,000 on a bag of blood, but I'm not spending $2,000 on a bag of iron. Not when I have these shitty pills in the cupboard. So, what else? Yeah, man. Life is tricky. It is fucking tricky. I really hope I didn't make my client feel bad for asking about if I had kids or not. That's never what I want. And I need to release this guilt, because it's not about other people, it's about me. But it's never my intent to make other people feel bad or uncomfortable when I say, hey, I'm, actually dealing with some infertility. That's why I don't have children. But that's kind of like a shameful thing that I don't need to be feeling. Like, this is just part of what's going on in my life. It's just like, oh, I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable because I'm. And see, this is this whole identity thing that me and Jackie are working on, and she's really trying to crack into, because I don't even fucking understand it. But this is why she's saying the whole Black identity, and the connecting to my Blackness and connecting to this and connecting to that. It's just I avoid all of those things like the plague, and I'm trying to understand why, because I need to be 1,000% confident in myself if I'm expecting to rear a confident Black child. I want that more than anything. But if I can't figure out why I'm ashamed to talk about my not ashamed to talk about my Blackness, but I don't want to be part of the conversation if the conversation is being held by people who are not Black. That's that's the main thing. Make no mistake, that's the main thing. I don't want to be the topic of conversation. I don't want to necessarily be the spokesperson for all Blacks in a room full of non-Blacks, wanting to know about the Black experience. I fucking hate that, and I do not subscribe. But I also see it as a problem for me. I am not showing up as someone that could be the representation that is lacking in my circles. That is missing, and I refuse to step up to the plate. So that's a whole other thing. So that, and then feeling bad about how someone else receives like what's going on in my life, like a part of who I am, you know? Like that shit is wild to me, but it's real and it's what I'm experiencing, and it's something that I want to work on. And then the gay thing, like I find it to be wild that I'm more comfortable with that minority piece versus anything else. Like I'm more okay showing up as gay than I'm more okay showing up as gay than I am showing up as black. Specifically in like my predominantly white workspace. Like make no mistake, like it's very specific. It's not in general. It's very specific. I'm more okay with showing up as gay and black in a predominantly white workspace than I am showing up as a childless, relationshipless, single person. Because again, the value that is placed on certain things in society is very real. It may not be right, it may not be fair, it may not be like, we might need to start trying to dismantle that, but like I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like maybe that's part of why I don't have very many friends at this point, because I'm not coupled, so it's not like we can go on couples dates and couples events. Like I guess that's what people do. I don't fucking know. I don't have a child, so we're not doing play dates. I live in an apartment, whereas a lot of people, believe it or not, I know the economy is what the economy is, but at least in my world, in my circle, a lot of people have houses with backyards or pools or like just space to be a family. And I don't have that, so I'm not like throwing dinner parties every whatever the fuck. And I've always had this complex about like people who live in houses or have houses are not going to want to come and hang out in my 1-bedroom apartment with, girl, let me quit. I'm tired and I'm hungry, and I think that's enough for today, honestly. It's Wednesday. Let's see what they're talking about on church. If not, I'm about to watch Netflix, so bye.